Hi, this is Mitch Perry, reporter with the Florida Phoenix and one of the co-hosts of the new public affairs show here on WMNF called The Skinny, where we give you the real straight deal. I'll be joined every Friday morning at 11 a.m. with my co-hosts, Ben Montgomery and Ray Roa, editor-in-chief with Creative Loafing, as we get in depth on some of the biggest stories happening in the Tampa Bay area and Florida. That's this and every Friday at 11 a.m.
You are tuned to WMNF Radio 88.5 FM. This is your host, Patro Mobili, for this public affairs program called Community Speaks. Authoritarian, racist, dictatorial politics is staring Americans in the face. As one Republican state ram a policy through, so go other Republican-dominated state legislators and governors. 2 years after overthrowing federal protection for safe, legal abortion, the number of abortions is actually up across the United States. While access is a lot more limited in some states, there's been a major rise in the use of telehealth, making it easier for doctors to prescribe and send abortion pills through the mail. But the latest Supreme Court decision, expected as early as this week, is about access to abortions in emergency rooms situations. So a lot of people are concerned about the politics behind that and how that could get people, especially women and doctors, into more trouble. And also, the rise of right-wing election deniers are trying underhanded tactics to try and stoke distrust in the democracy when they lose. And there are concerns that a new data system that's being pushed by conservative activists and is fueling many of these mass challenges that could kick legitimate voters off the rolls. It's a new artificial intelligence system that these conservatives are pushing to try to stoke distrust. A local effort to get out the vote promises to be epic and will be a part of a conclave by the Omega Psi Phi fraternity. And this one sounds as if it will be an epic one. Here on the telephone joining us right now, I see, is Anthony Perkins. He's going to be the Grand Marshal for a conclave that is coming up by this fraternity. And I want to welcome you, Anthony, to Community Speaks. Thank you for joining me here on the air.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Well, I see that, most people think of politics. They don't think of fraternities and sororities, but things are different now. In this election, this mobilization is all of that. It is all part of a scholarship opportunity that's coming up. This all sounds really great to me, and it's here in Florida because, in Florida, the governor has also defunded millions for the arts in the Florida budget. So give us the rundown for the conclave with a purpose.
Right. Well, so this year, we have our conclaves every 2 years, and then this year is going to be in Tampa. And so, with all of the unique social and political times we're currently in, we had to come up with a different theme, and so conclave with a purpose. And so we're here. The intent is to reassert our leadership of Omega men by providing a forum where we can have ideals, activities, tools to shape a more equitable future for both the local and national level people. So we want to make sure that we bring that to the city of Tampa, and we don't want to just come here and have people think that we're just coming here to party. We're coming here to take care of business and leave Tampa in a better place than we arrived.
So when is the date, the big day?
The date we start, it kicks off June 26th, which is Wednesday, and we go to July 2nd.
Oh, okay. So what's going to happen on the 26th? How does it all begin?
So I can elaborate as much as you want, as little as you want. So for example, we're going to have community forums, we're going to have voter registration, education mobilization, we're going to have book drives, silent marches. And I think, to better answer your question is that since there's so many things that we're doing, I think it's better to give your listeners our website, they can go and get all this information. And so the website to go to is TampaConclave2024.com. And it's all one word. So it's Tampa, CONCLAVE 2024.com. And that right there will probably answer 90% of everyone's questions. And more importantly, definitely want people to go there because the events that we're going to be putting on are not just for the Men of Omega. They're for the citizens and the community of Tampa. And so we want the community to show up and get involved in what we're doing in the community, and not just it's not just for Omega Men.
Okay, so this is a community event and an opportunity for the community to come together around some political action, right?
Yeah, so we have some couple of themes. So on Friday, we're having a silent march. It's going to take off at 9 a.m. from the convention center, heading over to Curtis Hickson. And so, some of the themes that we have, we're saying yes to Black history, say yes to DEI, say no to voter suppression, and show up and vote in 2024.
Right. Well, first, let me back up. You don't always come to Tampa every 2 years, right? You choose different locations.
So we actually haven't even been in Florida since 1982. So this is definitely something new. Yeah, our last one was in Charlotte, but we go all over the country. And Tampa was actually supposed to have the conclave in 2020, but then COVID hit. And then so we ended up having to have it virtual. And then we went to Charlotte, North Carolina in 2022. And we were lucky enough and fortunate enough to get it back here in Tampa for this year.
So it's speaking with Anthony Perkins with the Omega Psi Phi. He's going to be the Grand Marshal for a conclave that is coming up with the Omega Psi Phi fraternity that's coming to Tampa. And it's political action is going to be part of the theme. It's called Conclave with a Purpose. You can also call me right now. But calling here, you can speak with Anthony Perkins directly by calling 813-239-9663. This is Community Speaks, 813-239-9663. Now, I asked you about coming to Florida because, you said in 2020, of course, the pandemic prevented you from coming here. But the NAACP has been telling people, suggesting because of the politics in Florida that we should boycott this state. But what was behind the decision to come here? Is it because of the politics that has been getting a whole lot of national play because of this governor?
Right. Totally understand. So, we had a lot of members. We had a lot of members who wanted to not come because of that. And so, we as leaders and leadership of the organization, we just thought that we can't run from this. We need to be here because, the people in Florida need assistance and need support. And so, we're going to come here and support the people in Tampa and make sure that they're armed and educated on things that's going on. And so instead of, just departing and not coming here, we made a conscious decision that we're going to come here. And then, like I said, normally it's just the conclave, right? Well, we had to really, not just in words, but in action, show that it's a conclave with a purpose. And so we come up with these 6 things that we're going to achieve that we've been achieving before the conclave, and we'll do during the conclave, and then we'll continue afterwards. And so, yeah, it was not something that was just we're coming to Tampa no matter what. It was definitely a lot of discussion, a lot of meetings, a lot of back and forth. And then through our leadership of our Grand Bossless, Ricky Lewis, we all just came to the decision that, hey, the best thing to do is for us to come here, but come here with a purpose and make sure that we, we stand up and we make sure that we're visible, vocal, and deliberate with our communication throughout the community.
Well, I mean, and I think that's admirable. And plus, you're correct. It seems to be more powerful to address it head on, address these issues head on in a spirit of solidarity, especially given the fact that a lot of people are torn about leaving. the state, especially since as one red state goes, other red states go. It's hard to find a state to escape to unless you get far out of the South and out of the Midwest. But you also recognize, we also recognize that there are a lot of good people who are leaving the state, while a lot of bad people are coming to the state to live here and control the politics or the political direction of the state. And one person that I'm thinking of in particular is professional basketball legend Dwayne Wade, who, in support of his transgender daughter, has felt this state is just not safe for his daughter and his family anymore, and as a result has felt the need to leave. So I think this is a wonderful idea. Who do we expect to come here that may be of note to engage this community here?
Right. So we have Ricky Smiley come in. We have D.L. Hughley. We have Alonzo Mourning from the Miami Heat, retired, come in. So we have a lot. We have Titus O'Neil, who's a Tampa native. And so we have a lot of celebrity members of Omega Psi Phi that'll be here. But I think, like I said, that's great. But the men of Omega, we're going to have a roughly 25,000 members here. And so we're going to give back to the community. We have a list of black businesses that we're going to support. And like I said, more importantly, I think a couple of the big things that we're going to do is the voter registration, education, mobilization. So, we all know that we're registered to vote, but I think part of our community is that we don't get out and vote. And so we need to make sure that all, especially African-American male, they get out and vote. And we have to understand we can make change through vote. If we don't go out and vote, we see what happens. When we get out and vote, we see that, and likewise, we see what happens. And so, we're here. We're not a political organization. We're developing an arm of our organization that will be more political, but we still are predominantly an African-American organization, and we want to make sure that our communities are supported, and we're getting out, and we're leading by example.
Well, that's wonderful. I understand that there are also some opportunities for students, especially art opportunities.
Right. So what we do is, like I said, we have a youth leadership conference that will be conducted. We'll be about 150 students on Wednesday and Thursday, and then we have a STEM program on Friday for another 130 to 150 youth, and then we have our talent hunt that will be on Saturday that we're looking for people to come out to, and that's all different youth from across the country who have won in their respective areas and different talents. And so, we're all about the community, and we're all about getting people to come out. And so that's why I say, once again, we can talk for 3 hours if you let me, but I want people to go to the website, and then that way their questions can be answered, which is TampaConclave2024.com, because of course, I may miss something and if the agenda's on there, and it's a full-fledged agenda, and it's packed with things that we're doing. And like I said, the majority of things that we're doing, we want and need the community to come out and get educated, fellowship, learn about the mobilization part, learn about what's going on with the Juilliard School Master Class. Be part of the Silent March. We're actually going to have an African-American museum and artifacts exhibit, which I think is going to be wonderful for people. We have someone comes in and they have artifacts back to the 1860 and to current, and people will learn about our history through that. So there's so many things that we have on the agenda that will be beneficial for the community of Tampa.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the website right now. I do urge you all to go and look at the website, to look at the different events that are taking place in there. It's a lot, and I'm interested in you talking as much as possible because, this is an opportunity for people to call in and talk directly with you. But I am interested in all that you've already mentioned, a lot of what you've mentioned, especially the Omega STEM program, science, technology, engineering, and mechanics. What is that? Mathematics. And the Juilliard School Masterclass. This is opportunities for young people to get involved. And, it is so important that we begin to have these intergenerational dialogues, because a lot can get lost, especially at a time when people want to forget history. And what better way to learn history than from your elders and from each other? So an idea that keeps young people engaged and involved, I'm very much interested in. But when it comes to the arts, especially in Florida, if we saw what we saw in the budget, the Juilliard School Masterclass, tell us a little bit more about that opportunity there.
So, and that one, I'm not that versed on. I know that the Juilliard School is going to come down and they're going to provide, musical and educational things to the youth. And so that's open from 8 to 5. So we're definitely looking for people to come and be part of that. Like I said, so when you look at as you said, there's so many things going on, everybody has their input in it. And the Juilliard part, that's one that I don't want to get into too much detail, because like I said, I know about a lot of this stuff, but that one is a new one that we're doing this year.
Okay.
It's definitely something we got to make sure that people come out to, because, you talk about the Juilliard School, that's
major.
Huge. That's major. That's really major, that they even wanted to come down here and participate with us in doing that. And that's from 8 to 5 on Friday at the Convention Center, and it's in rooms 111 to 113.
But just to put a button on it, this is, from what I've read, seems like this is the one where you will be, a student will be paired with another student that is already graduated, or something like that, but you'll have some direct instructions to you if you take part in the master class.
Yes, sir.
And but I'm looking primarily at Friday, June 28th, and so this is where we're seeing the Omega STEM program, the Juilliard School Master Class, and then later that morning the Silent March, which is open to the public. That's going to be in the Riverwalk area, which is adjacent to the Convention Center, and it's also that same day you'll be seeing the African American Museum and Artifacts exhibit.
Right. So, like I said, we have a jam-packed day, and what happens is let's elaborate on Silent March. So, the Silent March, everyone that comes and signs up and participates will receive a shirt, and it's going to say "I Am Black History," and so we'll have water available, and we'll send people down, and we're going to walk from the Convention Center, and we're going to walk down to Curtis Dixon Park. We're at that. Then we'll have Ben Crump, and we'll have some local politicians that will make some statements, and then we'll go right into what we're calling the Omega Mixer at Curtis Dixon, which will be where we're going to provide free medical screening. We'll have a DJ there. We'll be handing out books. And we'll be giving some education classes and information out. So, like I said, there's just a slew of things that's happening, like I said, even on Friday. So whatever the preference of someone is, they have their pick of choice of what they want to attend, or try to attend a little bit of all of them.
Yeah.
But like I said, we're here, and we want the city of Tampa to hear this radio station here, or the TV, everything that we've been doing up until today, so that people can understand. We want everyone in Tampa to participate, because this is not just about Omega Psi-Phi. It's for all the brown people that look like us, that they want to know that the Omega Psi-Phi is here to support them.
Well, definitely, if nothing else, we should at least focus on meeting up at the park on Friday, June 28th, and at least then people will get some idea of where they want to go from there and how much they want to get involved and engaged in it. But I think that there will be a lot of people happy to see that the Omega Psi-Phi fraternity and other fraternities look like a lot of people are involved. People will be amazed to see this event take place at this time and meet Ben Crump. Hopefully you get a chance to hear from him. I see that on that Friday. There'll also be financial empowerment series. It is a lot going on, but I think that meeting up at the park, that silent march at the park would probably be a great place to start.
Right, and let's make sure. So we're going to start. We're going to start at the convention center. So at the convention center at 9 a.m. on Friday. That's where we start, and we're gonna do a silent march from the convention center over to Curtis Hickson.
Sounds great. Well, I do want to thank you. I guess the one question that people seem to have was the one that I started out asking you is why come to Florida at a time when this politics is raging, and of course you dealt with that very significantly. But here is an opportunity that people who look like us, we need to show this type of solidarity, especially to the young, people who are very apathetic right now politically, especially black people, because of what we've seen. We've seen the rise of MAGA despite all of these years of change and progress in this country. We've seen red state governors, especially in this state, actually try to erase black history, which is a throwback to the old times when we were just seen as an invisible people. So we feel like it is important to share with the young people how history is repeating itself.
And you're 100% true, and that's what I'm saying. So the thing is, like I said, I'm hoping that people hear this message and come out, because part of the reason why it's a conclave with purpose is because we want the community of Tampa to be involved in what's going on and getting this education on different things and making sure that they're armed with the knowledge, so we can make sure that we, the power of our vote and the power of our economic impact does make a difference in communities. And we have to understand that, and we have to make sure that we be solidarity in that to make sure that we're moving in the right direction.
We're talking with the Grand Marshal for an upcoming conclave with the Omega Psi Phi Incorporated fraternity, and Anthony is joining us on the telephone here on Community Speaks, and you can call us 813-239-9663 if you have something you want to add. There's a lot going on. Anthony, you've been very patient talking with me this morning, but we do have a couple of calls. I do want to go to the phone. I'm sure they have questions for you.
No problem.
Go ahead. Ron from Mango, you say what here on Community Speaks?
I'm saying salute.
Yes.
The needing and the missing, it should be kind of regular as far as I'm concerned. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
But much applause, because this community is lacking very much in leadership. I mean, I used to run with a brother from Omega Phi Psi. Excellent character. Only time we had a problem with the other brothers come around, and I learned that I had to respect that, because it's like that in all cultures and all things. So I enjoy the work that they're doing, and I want to see also, because I saw something on the news a while back where the brothers was up in, I can't really call it out. It was a state, but they went in and they was doing the agriculture, community gardening, and they were setting it up, stuff like that. Yes, if that could be maybe brought a little closer to the Tampa area, too, it would be beneficial. I don't know. I live rural, so I definitely could benefit and then help and put into the community like that. But it's very hard for me by myself. I try to do stuff, but if we could have some kind of cooperatives like that, starting initiative. When I was on TV, I had mentioned a long time ago that we could have had also deer fisheries, because it don't seem like they're going to give us no fresh salmon, so we might as well have to participate in growing the salmon that they're growing and sell it too.
Yeah.
I mean, but we could grow all kind of fish. I'm just saying, to me as a geophysicist, a naturalist and a nationalist, I believe that we got the power to do anything we want to do. We have done it all along. And
understood.
When they break the unity, then there goes our community. Because we have decisions to make, and we can decide and see how we want to have our community set up and operating. But each time we do it, it's always compromised. And so that's the biggest thing I'd like for that brother to understand in this area they always try to compromise you. And, you've probably been tried, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So coming into the political arena, I kind of really respect that more than anything because last time I saw my brother, the same one I'm talking about, he said, "Oh man, you're political," but what you don't understand, I had no choice. I mean, when they had a foot on your neck, what you gonna do? Just squirm and squeam? So no, I give back and I fight and I let people know what's going on in my community.
Well, all politics is local, right, Anthony? I mean, he's talking about the STEM programs and, and the possibility of agricultural programs maybe in the future. Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah. And if we do that part in the future, we can look at that. Like I said, across the country, we have brothers doing all kind of things. And so we look at best practices and we do certain things. So, this conclave, we won't hit that, but that's something we can put on a parking lot issue and see if we can go forward and do that. But also, we're even though the conclave is going to come and go, we have a lot of brothers that's here in Tampa, and so I wrote that idea down, and we have chapters here, and that we'll continue to carry the torch when the conclave moves on. So I appreciate you, brother, and we'll definitely look to see and do some other things for the community in reference to what you were talking about.
Okay, I appreciate you even more. You just don't believe it. But I look forward to seeing the changes, and by all means, when they come, I'm a willing participant because you can benefit from the solar. Nobody's at the Ruth Eckerd Hall, so you can have all kind of stuff geared to go in through there and make money for the community and even get some of the talent to turn the other way instead of thinking that it's a violent thing we have to do to participate in this area specifically. Yeah.
Well, I happen to also know, Ron, that there's some members of your family that could possibly benefit from a talent hunt program as well, which is a part of this.
Yeah, anytime, I try to encourage my people, but they kind of, what we call it, procrastinating. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of it is not. It's really necessary, too, at this time because my granddaughter is number one chair on this. She just got a scholarship to, what's the name of the school? Patel. Patel gave her a full scholarship, and I would rather her be in their program. I was looking to take it, but I see I already got everything filled, so I'm looking, and, I'm interested. But I be pushing, so she did this on her own. She's just that intelligent. She's just doing this stuff. So all of them, they've got, my son's catalogs, I'd be glad to hook up with them because it's for TV, for anything. It's not just for us to be somebody. We want to really put an effect into the community and show them that families do matter, and we as African Americans, whatever you want to call us, we do matter. I'll leave y'all with this. That's why I said something about the entertainment. Anyway, I saw Carlos Santana perform. Every image he put up, they had some other crony group with him. I don't even know him. My kids say I should know him. But it was okay for entertainment, but I wouldn't have paid to go see them. But Carlos Santana, I would, because Carlos Santana put up big old 50-foot images of African people jumping, African people, all of their tools and creativity for about, it was about 10 minutes. I was like, I'm loving this. And then he went into the Mayan culture and all that there. I said, this is what I'm talking about right here on Father's Day. That was their Father's Day thing. And I got it on film, but I really enjoyed that, and I would enjoy the brothers doing that. They could do all that there, too, because Carlos, his wife is African on the drums. I didn't believe it at first. I was like, some lady beating the heck out of them drums, man. I said, who is that? Then they said, that's his wife, his second wife. His first wife, his son was singing, which he was African. So he's down like that. Political, too. Yeah. So, yeah, man, I ain't going to take up too much time, but I really enjoy what the brothers saying and putting down, and we need that. We need more of it. Like I say, salute. We have some warriors here, but they're trying to wear us out and down, man. You know what it is, new generation.
Right, that's the key, right. 19
keys. I be watching 19 keys. All the boys, they be hard, man. I love it. Yeah, yeah. Well, hey, you have a good day, and y'all have a good day and time while you're here. You know,
right.
Much blessings to you, more power to the people.
Okay, thank you,
Yes,
Ron.
sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
And Anthony, there's I see that there are opportunities for the young people to engage with leadership conferences, but I'm also interested in maybe as the time goes on in the local bros from the Omega Psi Phi fraternity could promote more intergenerational dialogue on a regular basis.
Yeah, no doubt. So we have mentorship programs with a couple of schools in the neighborhood, and as we continue to piggyback off this conclave, we need to look at having instead of just going with one school, maybe we can look at having something that's just across the city and doing that. And that's our calling, is to always to give back to community and especially to our young men. The thing is, all those things we're doing in the community now as we speak, but you can always do more. You can always elevate higher. And so, we'll look at doing that as well.
All right. Well, I do appreciate you calling in and joining us here on the Community Speaks. It sounds like it's going to be big. There's a lot going on, as we've said, and I'm looking especially forward to the silent march in the park.
All right. Sounds good. Like I said, once again, Tampa Conclave 2024.com, and a lot of the things that people may have questions about will be on there, and all the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, there's a lot of things going on, but we want the city of Tampa and the surrounding area to please come out and participate. So like I said, we're going to have things going on that's going to be beneficial for our community.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Anthony Perkins, the Grand Marshal for the upcoming Conclave with a Purpose by the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are tuned to Community Speaks here on your non-commercial radio station, WMNF. I'm your host, Patro Mobili, and of course, this is an opportunity to talk about all of the events that are happening around us. And as we mentioned, the upcoming conclave is just one such conference, convention that is coming to Tampa, Florida. And despite the fact that NAACP and other people have called for a boycott of the state, oftentimes it is more important to have solidarity and to promote the idea of staying and fighting. A lot of good people are leaving the state while a lot of bad people are coming to the state, and that has the effect of really bastardizing politics here, making things even worse. Today marks the 2-year anniversary of the Supreme Court overturning Roe versus Wade, ending the nationwide right to abortion and launching a new era of litigation, legislation, and politics. And with that, there were a lot of red states ready to act on a national basis to begin to take away those rights. And there are some states, who were automatically ready to go with their trigger laws after the Supreme Court did what it did, and we're ready for these bans on abortion, with some exceptions. But Alabama, Arkansas, Idaho, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, West Virginia, these states have bans, complete bans on abortions at all stages of pregnancy, with, as they say, some exceptions. And these have banned, these are states, Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina are states that start at around 6 weeks gestation. Those bans start at around 6 weeks of pregnancy. And some women don't even know they are pregnant, which the whole point is to completely take that right away. And a lot of women have had to start traveling around to get access to this right to a safe and legal abortion. And as a result, it seems like despite all of these bans, these bans haven't saved anybody. The abortions, people were still able to access them because of the rise of telehealth and making it not necessary for some women to have to travel so far. But out of Florida, you have to go all the way to places like Colorado to realize your right to a safe and legal abortion. That's a long way away if you are a poor woman of color who doesn't have the ways and means to do that. It would be very difficult. So thank goodness for telehealth. And of course, the Supreme Court just passed the right for mifepristone, the abortion pill, not basically on the issue itself, but because the doctors that took it to try to get at that drug ban didn't have standing to even be in court. So that was upheld by the court. But you can't trust this court because the conservative justices that were named to the court by 45s all got up there in their hearing and said that abortion was settled law. And then came Dobbs versus Jackson's Women's Health, and that was what overturned what was said was a settled law. So a lot of states have moved to act to take advantage of what the Supreme Court allows them to do at the state level. And this has really galvanized people in elections. Ever since that happened 2 years ago, for the last 2 years, Republicans have been losing elections as a result of it in a lot of places. So they've been quick to try to change the subject. They want to use artificial intelligence to fool you into thinking some voice that sounds like the opposition's voice, Joe Biden's voice, is telling lies. And we're going to hear and see artificial intelligence get used more and more in this election, since a lot of the politicians are trying to run away from their actions over the last 2 years. A lot of people who said that they were never Trumpers are now on the top list, the top 3 list, to be his vice president. Whether they'll accept or not, I don't know, but they say they were never Trumpers, and now they're his loyalists. They are ready to run alongside him. Let's take advantage of a fool who doesn't mind being a fool for the right, and we'll run along with him in hopes that we'll gain the power that he's gotten. And it looks like MAGA is trying to routinize this charismatic approach to politics, so that when the charismatic leader gets too old and dies, they have the office of the president to help deliver the next charismatic leader, which would probably come out of this state because of the laws he's willing to put his signature on, and the things he's willing to veto in this state that seems to go after his political rivals more than anything. He vetoed a lot from this area and from the arts right here in this state in the budget. And so we're keeping a watch on this whole agenda as it unfolds in this upcoming election. We're also watching how they're using artificial intelligence to try to put up challenges to the elections, especially when the right wing loses elections. They're going to use AI, a sort of AI version of a program that just goes through and scours the election rolls in localities, and especially in the college town, which is probably going to be more of a progressive city. And this AI tool scours the voting rolls, and oftentimes have found college students who are using the same address. Of course, they're in a college, and this tool creates a spreadsheet that says there should be a challenge to all of these voters who this AI tool has uncovered, especially a bunch of college students with the same address. That is no reason to challenge an election. And so But we're seeing the right wing push this tool, and this is going to be a way of slowing down the, certifying of the next election if they lose, which is what we've seen happen in the last one, and that prompted them to go and have a riot at the Capitol. Are we going to see that again? And they're going to try to use this AI program. It's called Eagle AI, and this data that they're sourcing comes from a place called Eagle AI. Its information is compiled from state and federal source data using this AI network, and it really is intended just to give an excuse for election deniers if they lose an election. 813-239-9663 is the number to call. We talk about all of the games that people are playing, the political games that we're seeing played out even before the election. Many people around the world are facing elections, and one wonders if this country is going to be the worst at it going forward. Anybody can lodge a voter challenge in a county where they live, and some activists have individually challenged thousands of registrations, but the research can take a lot of work. So that's why the right wing have been trying to push this Eagle AI, promises to streamline and speed up the process, creating challenges at volume. So a whole long list of names can be spit out by this Eagle AI of legitimate voters, but it's going to slow down the recertification process of a vote of an election because some AI tool has spit out a long list of names that need to be challenged. So that's going to be one of the games that we're going to see played out in the upcoming election. And of course, disinformation. We've already seen pictures of Joe Biden being manipulated. He was greeting one of the people who were representing the United States, who was a pilot that just jumped from a plane and put on a show for members of the G7 group of countries, the leading democracies in the world, and just to make the president look bad because they have nothing else to go on, and they know that 45 is unhinged and losing his mind, and we see it every time he does a rally. So to distract from that, we have these images being edited to to project that same image of the president that they have, that we all have for the last one. He is unhinged, not making much sense at all when he talks, except when he talks about himself being a victim in the court system. So he needs to win this election to be propped up above the law. And we're going to see this routine play out election after election, which is probably the agenda. We've seen that the same kind of agenda played out in Eastern European democracies. But we are right now in the middle of Community Speaks, and of course, I do want to talk about what's coming up tomorrow on Tuesday Cafe. Sean Canan is going to talk with Hillsborough County School Board member Jessica Vaughn about education issues in Florida, and there's a lot going on there that has been politicized. We now see a law where the state of Florida governor, the legislature, is trying to tell professors in the classroom what they're teaching is considered government speech. So the government can tell them what not to say, what not to teach. Certain lessons on Black history will not be taught, on diversity. All of these issues are not going to be taught under this new law in Florida, this sort of anti-woke law. But we're seeing them play it out. And some professors are suing, fighting back to say that, no, professor speech are not just government speech. We don't live in a country where the government tells us everything that we can say just because you're an employee in that state. But hopefully that'll be one of the issues that'll be talked about. So tomorrow at 10 a.m. on Tuesday Cafe, Sean Canan will be talking with Jessica Vaughn about these education issues as Hillsborough County School Board member. So that'll be about local school board education issues. But again, what's happening at the university is atrocious. Also at 11 tomorrow is Wave Makers with Janet and Tom Scherberger. And at noon, Wide Awake America, Nadine Smith is welcoming Britt Hartley, a spiritual director and author of No Nonsense Spirituality, All the Tools, No Faith Required. Britt shares her compelling journey from Mormonism to secular spirituality, offering fresh insights on finding meaning without dogma. And boy, do we need that today. 813-239-9663. I'm your host, Patrick Mobili, for this program called Community Speaks. We're going to go back to the telephone lines and see what gender has to talk about. You're on the Community Speaks. Go ahead.
Mobili, my friend. This is Genderless from Detroit. How are you been?
I'm good. Thank you for calling from Detroit.
Yeah. I missed you guys, and I missed, when we used to have alternative frequency, and I discovered that it's one thing. It's really nice to hear you giving voice in the daylight to the things that we used to talk about in the middle of the night. So
yeah,
it's a pleasure to hear you. I listen to the app, because I'm in Detroit, but
yeah,
you hit this great intersection of the people who are doing the work that have been more or less criminalized, and the Florida like me, and the intersection of elections, and me being in Detroit. The 2020, there was a huge effect here too that was very similar to what happened, down there, and so you hit this good intersection. So I thought I would call in and rap with you about that. So, are you familiar with what went down? You're familiar with what went down in Detroit, the 2020 efforts to stop the count, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was one of those places, just one place that there was an effort not to count the vote.
Yeah, that was one of the few times that the white people come from the suburbs into the city. But yeah, so this year's efforts, there was someone on, there's a show here called, on the community radio station here, WDET, called Traded Equal with Stephen Henderson. He also hosts American Black Journal. And there was a woman on, you talk about, COVID too, and all the lost election workers and institutional knowledge, all the people that are feared and are feared for their lives and have had to retire or quit. COVID hit Detroit so hard that they lost 90% of their election workers from COVID.
Really?
So all the yes, this woman, the woman that heads the election unit here, the election security, I forget the title offhand. I can't articulate. It's been a while, so I'm a little anxious. But so all the institutional knowledge is absolutely gone because they're talking about the security of their elections. Just iterating that there's no such thing as fraud. There was no such thing as fraud. Like, we're not trying to have another TCF incident or Huntington as it is now. And so these things have already started here.
Yeah.
Too. So, there was the Turning Point had its big convention here at the same place where the same TCF turned Huntington, which used to be Cobo, named after the racist mayor, where they tried to stop the count. That was where they had their same thing, and Nick Fuentes subsequently, I don't know if you saw the video of the security guard that punched one of Nick Fuentes' cronies.
Yeah.
In a bar nearby here, Detroit. So yeah, and it's just...
It's atrocious.
Yeah, and I come home and, because I wasn't able to find work there, as, a trans person. As your show a few weeks ago, the first one I caught was about book bans and LGBTQ, and I'm a queer librarian, so
yeah,
and I couldn't get hired at all. So I come home, and now I had been working 3 years in the system here as a librarian and archivist, but and I'm not necessarily opposed to moving back, but it's just like. DeSantis just cut the arts and culture budget.
Right.
My master's degrees are in humanities and library science.
Oh, man.
So it's just, it's an intersectional issue, what's going on down there with the the alt-right or the Christo-fascist, whatever you want to call it, is it's a similar thing that's happened up here. Just because Michigan's got certain things like we've got voting rights codified, we've got gender identity and whatnot, in our Elliott Larson, codified in our Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act. That doesn't mean these things aren't still happening. They called it up south during the Great Migration for a reason. There are two Detroits. It's the same anywhere else, just because we're 1,300 miles away. But we are, like, as far as go, abortion rights. You talk about that too. Like, we're the only state in the Midwest that has abortion rights codified. But you and I know, as fighters for collective liberation, that just because it's codified, it's liberation, not assimilation. And just because something's we quote have our right or whatever in sign into law doesn't mean it's necessarily enforced or that we're necessarily happy.
Right.
So
that's right. Well, you do have now the Michigan governor is a Democrat or more progressive, but what about the legislature? Do I have that wrong?
We actually, for the first time in 40 years, so basically my entire life, have a Democratic trifecta. So we have the governorship, the House, and the Senate. It's the votes. There's been the margin has narrowed because there were a couple of reps that now are mayors in their respective representative suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
So that margin has narrowed, but there was a lot of gerrymandering that had to be undone because Rick Snyder, that poisoned a bunch of black kids in Flint. You know what I mean? And before him, Governor Engler, who set all that up. You know what I mean? But Governor Whitmer is on Biden's reelection team. She's still chairing his reelection team. So I don't know how progressive Big Gretch is per se. But they are undoing a significant amount of work that the Republic, they repealed right to work. So Michigan is a union state again.
Well, that's great. I wish Florida would follow suit.
So there are things that can be done, and it is not to discount, to like you say, to folks that disparage, Florida. Like there are folks that are still fighting down there. It's not a whole state. It's not everybody down there. It's a very vocal majority that have just made it so unlivable for us, some of us minority, that sometimes, and I had some personal stuff too, so I had to come home and deal with some of the state stuff with family, but, it's everywhere, too. And like I said, I'm not opposed to coming back if, the climate's a little bit different and, I pass a little bit more now. Maybe I can get employed.
Yeah.
But, and I miss, you guys, and I miss the radio show and my Food Not Bombs crew and, my folks, mutual aid and all that stuff and, doing the work in the streets. I'm still doing things, the same things up here, harm reduction and my events and whatnot, but it's still I do miss my people, but the struggle is everywhere.
Yeah, definitely. And it seems like these the problem that we have to always concern ourselves with is who counts the vote.
Precisely. And that's why, and that comes back to what I said, about why I kind of hate hearing about Detroit. Like you said, you talk about, I read about AI and so I don't know, I don't use it at all. I've been able to avoid it, eschew it in my archival work and what have you. So, but I am aware of how it's affecting and the potential to affect the election, for sure. So that's also something to contend with in a city that's going to have a 90% new election workforce. You know what I mean? So it's, just knowledge is power. It's just making sure that people
absolutely
know what disinformation is and how to fight disinformation. And as both a professional and a mutual aid librarian, and you too, with this show, that's the whole point of what we do, right?
That's right.
Counter this, that stuff.
Yeah, we have to.
I almost SCC worded. I'm sorry.
So we'd have dumped it, but we good. We're out of time anyway. But Jen, it's so good hearing from you. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, I wanna give you my number more off air and stuff too. So I'm not on social media, as you know. So.
Oh, okay. Well, just hang on.
All right.
Thank you.